love that your feet are covered in gems.
Okay. Well, I took a jewel bath.
What did I
okay,
literally?
Sorry.
I've said this multiple. This is what people are talking about multiple times. Like, hey, I'm gonna start because I have a whole bit. Like, good Lord.
Please proceed with your bit.
Okay. Hello. We've seen all of your comments saying that people on this podcast talk over each other too much. And in an effort to prevent that from happening ever again, I have strapped on a shock collar that every single time someone on this podcast talks over someone else, 200 volts of electricity will be sent coursing through my throat.
Are you finished speaking?
I have completed my thought. You may begin yours.
I wanted to clarify to the young Oldenators, only Chubbs will be shocked. So regardless of who is being talked over or who is talking over, the punishment will fall on Chubbs.
I'm sorry, real quickly. I thought we were all going to be wearing shock collars. You made it seem like it was a team effort.
No. It's just you.
Well, you were the only one with the fat enough neck to fit the collar.
Our necks are too skinny. They were falling right off.
It's because Eve has been only having iced tea at Phil's.
Yeah, which has caused me to lose 100 pounds a day.
Of neck weight, specifically.
Have you two completed speaking?
Yes, please, Chubbs. Go ahead.
I just feel like you made it seem like it was a team effort. Okay, guys, that's actually not funny. It's actually really.
Hey,
Two sisters talk about dumb shit. We hope you like it. 'Cause if not, then we'll kill ourselves and the blood will be on your hands. Young old.
This
Okay.
bit is abysmal. I'm just gonna say
It's an abysmal bit.
You came up with this in the car at Ride to Soul Cycle.
Seriously, guys, stop. Just let someone else
And it
finish
was
speaking.
bad then, and it's bad now.
you didn't get shocked that time.
I did. I just took it really well.
He's so used to it now that he doesn't
He's
even
just
feel it
absorbing it
anymore.
right up.
Dana, stop. Let E finish. Let E finish.
It's crazy how not cognizant I am of the fact that I'm talking over her. Like, it's actually crazy.
I think that we're just keeping it real. Like, this is how we talk in real life. The pod is a little window into our real conversations.
And in real life, this is kind of how we talk to each other.
But here's the thing.
It is, though, because you were doing this bit in the car.
Did you just do it? She just talked over me.
You act like this is a bit for the pod, but it's like you were fully doing this.
I will say, even in this bit, I was like, oh, it'd be funny to open the podcast this way. So, guys, let me open the podcast this way. Immediately, Dana and Eve start talking over each other, as if I didn't say that. Immediately.
Okay.
Over. That's how we're gonna talk. We're gonna have-
Roger,
over.
over.
Are you done?
Clear?
Over.
How people on the internet want you to do the pod. I am now done with my turn. Over.
And I am done with my bondage. Wow, kind of looks
He's
like
free.
a headband with a little charger
That's
wrapped around it.
crazy.
No, to me it
Was
looks
it
like a
worth
high
it?
voltage shock collar.
Let us know if that was enjoyable to you,
Yes,
young
young
Oldenators.
Oldenators.
Yeah, sound off. Let me know if you want more of that. If you want more of a prop comedy, carrot top type vibe from the Young Old podcast.
But just to
Yeah.
clarify our stance on things, conversations are a competition. And if you can't handle getting talked over, it's because you're bad at conversing.
have social anxiety. Dana made a TikTok once about talking over people, and that was one of the comments. And I was like, you need to grow up. You need to get a backbone. You need to start talking over people.
And I've always said this: interrupt or get interrupted.
on
That's
God,
the kind of
on
world
God.
we're living in.
And that's why
today.
you give that person social anxiety.
yeah.
So it's like, I don't believe that that's why. You already had it. You're a loser. That's why you have
And yeah,
it.
kind of like if you have anxiety in general, it's like that is something you should just get over. And I think that's the Young Old podcast
And
official
that's our
stance.
official stance.
You got to get over it. I see someone like clearly like suffering, having some sort of mental breakdown. I'm saying they need to get over it.
Or I do think having social anxiety at some point is immature. I think
TET.
you just don't understand what is expected of you, or you understand and you refuse to.
Well, to me, it's one of the other. So either you decide I'm never going to get over my social anxiety, in which case you need to walk into the desert and you need to start a life in nature, surrounded by cacti and maybe the occasional like falcon or something.
Tea.
A
But these,
falcon will never talk over you.
yeah,
Tea.
but these people who are like, oh, I have social anxiety, so no one can talk over me. They always work in like PR in New York City. I'm like, you're in an environment that you have to kind of be cool with socialization.
And that's how they go from PR to marketing. They
That's
can't hack
true.
it in PR.
Or you have to recognize that it's it's not somebody else's fault that you have social anxiety. Granted, I don't think anyone in real life is actually like that. I think it was just one
an internet
TikTok
commenter,
commenter. I
yes.
don't think anyone actually thinks that.
I do think you should study this podcast because you see 3 people who probably could benefit from like 10% more social anxiety. Because whenever someone starts to talk over someone else, no one gives ground. There's no like, oh, Dana has something to say. It's like, I will finish my thought.
But it's like, sorry that my brain is just so powerful that I can compute like what you're saying and say my own thing at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
Like,
it comes from like being able to simultaneously hold
Like I can say
a
things
thought
and understand what you're
Yes,
saying at
exactly,
the same time.
And if you
exactly.
listen right, it kind of is beautiful. It's like music. It's
Yeah.
like takes in the round.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say we're harmonizing necessarily.
But it is a podcast harmonization.
Well, it's like that is what we would do. It's like Eve would be like, I don't care, bro. I don't care, bro. I don't care, bro. And then I'll come in with like, streaming's fake,
Then I come in
streaming's
with,
fake,
"When I was
streaming's fake.
it's always when I was 8. Do you want to explain today's shirt?
Actually, today's shirt is very on topic with that. But it's a picture of me in 2005, and then it says versus 2025. This is actually a picture of me from 2004, but I figured it was more poetic to just
Yeah,
do 2005,
2005. What day is it today? Are we on?
It's day 26.
Day
Okay.
26. This isn't a day 26 shirt. I think this was a day.
Don't get confused. This isn't day 26.
This
Don't
wasn't
get
day
confused.
26.
So
They're
don't
like
get
they're at home
confused.
banging their head against the wall, like. But I saw a different shirt for day 26.
Yeah, this isn't day 26 shirt, but yeah, 2005 versus 2025.
Yeah.
I'm the girl I've always been.
So, young old naders, update your Dana Days spreadsheet
But
that you've got going.
This girl was intimidating every adult she encountered.
Dude, the husbands of the wives who hated you were quaking.
I do
when
love
they
it.
saw her coming.
I do love that Dana has kind of achieved a level of social media fame that people kind of now have to take her seriously in a way they didn't. Dana did a comedy show.
I
where-
don't, bro.
And we were talking to this guy. We were talking to this other guy, and he looked at Dana's shirt and he goes, "What's on your shirt?" And Dana said, "It's me. I'm doing 30 days of Dana, where I'm on my shirt every day." And I watched this guy have to go, "Oh, cool." And I could tell I could tell that if Dana was just a random woman, he would have made fun of her. But in this moment, he had to bow down to
I
greatness.
don't think he would have made fun of her because he probably thought she was insane. So
He
she's
thought she
like-
was insane.
He's like gonna be like, "Oh, that's nice."
Yeah.
No, but I think there was a reluctant respect that he felt like was owed.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Damn, I guess this is
Yeah,
what
I
makes
think-
you popular
I
these
think
days."
like what my social media fame has done specifically is it's made people have to acknowledge to themselves that there is something I
There's
know
a
that
market.
they don't.
There's a
Yes.
market for 30 days
yes,
of
they're
Dana.
like something that I'm doing is resonating with people and they don't get it.
Well, you're not just like doing something crazy anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're feeding demand.
Right,
Like,
like,
there's
demand
the
for
people
it.
are like, "We need day 26."
Yeah.
They are
So-
like we need. Well, someone I have had many comments suggest I extended to 60 days.
Wow.
To which
Wow.
I say I don't think that's going to be possible
Actually-
because Robert is so excited for this to be over.
I want to know who will up those comments. Probably your burners, honestly.
Right, and Robert keeps talking about how happy he's going to be when 30 Days of Dana is finally over. And I said it's because he is going to launch 30 Days of Chubbs.
30 days of Chubbs. And I said, well, actually, I'm like actually 12 days into 30 days of Chubbs, but no one
nobody gives a
notices.
shit.
There's 30 days of Dana.
What's going to be on your first day of Chubb shirt?
It's gonna be me, and I mean, I don't know. I have a picture of myself from 2004. I think it's better if I just say it's from 2005 versus me in 2025 versus me in 2085. So I'm like a withered crone in a spacesuit.
Wait, I love it.
I
Taking
love
it a
it.
step further.
Yeah.
You think you're going to be in a spacesuit by 2085?
I would hope so.
Here's my thing. You could be in a spacesuit now. So why do you think 2085 when
Well-
you'd be in a spacesuit
well,
then?
it's gonna be me from Halloween. I'm gonna dress up as a spaceman.
Okay, got
It's like,
it.
oh no, not everyone in 2085 is. We're not gonna be going to space, but I will be
Any
dressed up as a
specific
spaceman.
like Neil Armstrong or like Katy Perry or like anyone
The two.
specific?
Well, you named the two spacemen.
Those are the two.
You
Those are
named
the
Katy Perry and Neil Armstrong.
Those are the only two
Those
people
are the
I could
two.
actually name definitively that went to space. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I am like racking my brain.
Jeff Bezos' girlfriend.
Did she
or
go?
wife now.
she
Sorry.
did. Yeah.
Sorry,
And
That's his
sorry. Our
wife.
congratulations to the happy couple. We couldn't attend. We were busy. We were invited.
We were
I'd
invited.
go. Fuck it. If we were
No,
invited.
No,
Young
we
old
were
would-
invited. We
Oh,
couldn't
sorry.
go.
I mean, we couldn't go.
We couldn't go.
We couldn't
But
go.
on a
we
real
were
note,
invited.
if the Young Old Podcast was invited,
Jeff Bezos, if you
We
have
would be
another
attending.
wedding, I hope this one works out. But in the event you have another
Tea.
one, we're down to come. Eve was saying, what were you saying about like what people wanted them to boycott.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was like, photos of the Bezos wedding and all the celebrities that attended. And one of the top comments was like, we should boycott all of the content that the people who attended this wedding make. Like saying we shouldn't watch, the movies that Sydney Sweeney's making. First of all, no one's watching them regardless.
Dude, they just want a reason to not have to watch that whatever movie where she's wearing ugly ass
They're
prosthetics.
they're just trying to make up an excuse to not watch
But like,
Sydney
yeah,
Sweeney's
instead of being like
movies.
boycott Amazon,
Right, like
they
which-
were like,
I
which
mean,
would
again, he
theoretically
doesn't even own it anymore, I guess,
I
right?
think it's one of those
Yeah.
deals where he
Well,
doesn't
like,
do anything, but he has stock.
you don't know,
or-
Okay.
like, it's good
He
for him.
benefits, okay.
Amazon needs to
The
do well
point
for him
is
to
that
thrive.
if you were going to call for any sort of boycott, you would probably be like, oh, boycott Amazon. But instead, they're like, boycott Sydney Sweeney's movies.
boycott like Kim Kardashian's Hulu show,
Right.
that no one wants to watch anyway.
And it's like, this is helping how exactly?
Boycott Tom Brady. Go back in time to when he was still playing football
And
and
don't watch it.
don't watch
Don't
him.
Don't
back
you
then,
dare.
you already watched him,
But go
go
back
undo it
and undo it.
But I think it really does speak to my point, which is that like, dude, it doesn't matter how much like even like someone like me like performatively hates Jeff Bezos. We all want Prime. We all love 2-day shipping. It has
God.
revolutionized all of our lives.
Yeah.
It has ultimately impacted our lives for the better. I ordered the printer. 30 Days of Dana could not have happened without Amazon
T.
via Jeff Bezos.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
What?
That's what turns me against Bezos. I'm like, Bezos, you
You're like,
son of a
you
bitch.
for 30 days of Dana.
But I will say, like, it is a huge catalyst in my ability to be creative quickly on
That's
a
so
day-to-day
real.
basis.
But
Yeah.
as Jesus once said, he who has not ordered from Prime, throw the first stone.
That's
Period.
so true.
Period.
As
That's
Jesus
so
said at the
true.
Last Supper, he said, one of you will go to a brick and mortar bookstore and betray me. The rest of you will use Prime 2-day shipping.
That's actually a pretty good ad for them.
And then Judas is like, what? No, who would go to Barnes and Noble? I'm not on Book Talk. And Jesus said, one of you is on Book Talk.
But the tea is like, and I was like, I did this, and I was like, wow, I'm part of the problem, but the problem is me not wanting to spend more money. I was at Barnes and Noble, saw a book. I was like, I wonder how much this is on Amazon. Look, it's half the price. I'm like, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why, guys.
at some point, you need to be competitive with your pricing. That's why Walmart wins at the end of the day.
Now, I will say with Barnes & Noble, and we're Barnes & Noble members.
We are.
What it does have is vibes. But there
Yeah.
are I went to Barnes & Noble looking for a book called Lonesome Dove, which is like a Pulitzer Prize-winning book about two elderly cowboys. It's like a drama. I went to the novel section. It wasn't there. I went to like the history section. It wasn't there. I went to like the Pulitzer Prize-winning section. It wasn't there. Where was it? The only copies of this book were on a table that said Bella Swan's favorites.
No, it's books Bella Swan canonically loves.
Yes.
It's
What?
books
That's what it said.
Bella
No.
Swan
Canonically
canonically loves.
You're kidding. That was it. Who
Yes.
makes the tables?
The people who
I don't
work
know.
there.
Like, it's funny.
I mean,
Like,
it's
Yeah.
funny as frick.
that is funny,
And also,
but
I'm all for having a fun little table where it's like, oh, Bella Swan had Lonesome Dove on her shelf in New Moon, so we're gonna have it here. But like, that can't be where your only copy is.
But
No.
who's to say she just because it's on her shelf? What if she hated it?
Yeah.
Period.
No, 100%. I mean, I have no idea.
I have no.
But they asserted that it's a book she canonically loves.
Also, I don't remember her having a lot of time to read. She
Right,
was
she had
kind
a
of
lot
moving.
going on.
She had a lot going on.
But she had like nothing going on until the Cullens, until like the,
Right, I guess
Edward
so.
finally decided like, okay, I'm gonna hang out with her even though I want to eat her so bad. It's like when I decided to start hanging out with that brownie that I'm friends with.
yeah,
Tea. Where is that brownie, by the way?
Dana. Dana, that brownie was pregnant with your child, and I imprinted on it.
Oh no! Robert was gonna marry that brownie's child.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Robert.
And it's not weird. Didn't they do a thing in one of the Twilights where they had this big crazy battle that turned out to just be like a dream sequence or like
It
someone's
was like a vision, yeah.
That's the dumbest shit in the world.
Well,
I
we were
liked
talking
it.
about spoiler alert. If you're watching, yeah, classic dude, classic.
Classic. I do
Wait,
believe
can
you
we
like.
say-
I believe you like
Can
that.
we spoil an Amazon show really quickly, just so we can say that it's dumb?
I don't think anyone's gonna watch it, so I think it's fine.
Okay, so we were.
But
liars.
spoiler alert for okay. I mean, maybe people would watch
Okay.
that.
People
I
watch We
tried
Were
to
Liars.
watch it. I got bored. I read the book when I was in middle school.
We Were Liars, spoiler alert. Do you want to say it?
Yeah, We Were Liars, spoiler alert. At the end, it's revealed that everyone who isn't this girl, like all the other, like, kids, all died in a fire the year before. So, like, they've just been ghosts this entire time. And I would feel so cheated. But I'll say that works on, like, a Sixth Sense movie where it's like, okay, I spent a couple hours and the twist is someone here's a ghost. But, like, when it's a show, it's like 6 episodes. I would feel kind of cheated. Like, if,
Well, yeah, I think like 6 episodes when also that's the only part of the show. Like, okay, I know in the 80s, my mom would always talk about this, but there's like a show called Dallas. And she said like one of the seasons, it was like the whole season was a dream. And
Yeah.
then and people would always make fun of like, oh, when the writers don't like where something goes, they just, the next season, they say it was a dream, whatever. But I'm like, but that only works, like we say, if you have quantity. Like if you have a mass volume of episodes, that's the only time that it's like ever okay to be like, it's a dream,
So
actually.
what? I sit through 6 boring episodes, and then at the end they go, "Those episodes weren't boring. You were watching ghosts." And it's like, well, I was still bored. Also, imagine if in season 10 of Friends they were like, "Oh, by the way, Ross died off screen in season 4, and the Ross you've been seeing is just Phoebe having a
hallucination.
total meltdown." Chandler's really struggling with Ross's death from seasons 4 through 10, so he's just imagining what Ross would have gotten up to
I would love that.
if he wasn't killed off screen. And Eve would like it. Eve would be like, "That's cool."
The thing is, like, I'm cool with everything. As long as it's not boring, I'm cool.
But it is boring.
My point
Yeah,
was this.
and that's why I
It's
stopped
boring.
watching it.
We tried watching, like, it's a
I
boring
watched like
show.
20 minutes of the first episode and I was like, there's no beam, I'm out of here.
There's no beam. And then at the end, again, at the end, you can't you can't retroactively make something fun to watch. It's like,
No.
I already wasn't having fun. You can't be like, they were ghosts though.
Exactly.
Well,
We want to talk about the bad retail experience.
Oh, my Ross.
how
My
shopping
Ross
in person
experience.
sucks.
Shopping in person it's rough. And
It's
I
ass.
want to love shopping
They
in person.
lock up all the products. If you want to get deodorant, you have to call the store and have an employee come to the aisle and unlock it for you.
Eve basically was like stop
Eve
and
was at
frisked
Ross.
just
Yeah,
to buy
Eve
a
was-
shirt from Ross.
no, I was getting socks for Soul Cycle because I forgot my socks, and the socks they sell there are $20 for one pair. So I was like, okay, I'll pull into this Ross Dress for Less real quick. I step inside the Ross and I'm immediately in a cage. Like, I'm not even kidding. You open the door and like you're there's like a little metal box surrounding you, and there's 2 security guards who are like, wait here a second.
So it's a holding cell.
Yeah,
Holding
it's a
cell.
holding
Yeah.
cell for them to approve. And then they're like, and then they wait until there's like, I guess they can only have a certain amount of people in circulation at one period, at one so they can keep watch
It's like
on
your
everyone
time on
real
the prisoner's
good.
time on the yard.
Yeah.
So they wait for one guy to leave, so then they can be like, okay, you're good, you can go in. I'm like, what do you mean I'm immediately in a cage? Okay,
Yeah.
anyways. I grab there's 2 guards. There's like me, 2 other shoppers, 1 cashier, 2 guards, right?
The guards
Those are the numbers.
outnumber you.
Those are the numbers, right? And I go, they're looking at me. I grab my socks, like that are right next to the cashier. I walk over, I pay for the socks. The lady in front of me who just paid, she walks out and like the alarms start going off. And this is like, they're like, oh, hold on. They're
They
patting
have her drop
down,
to the
like,
floor. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, I'm late for Soul Cycle. I just needed to get these socks. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go around whatever this is. And they're like, where's your receipt? And I'm like, and I'm like, first of all, you just saw me buy the socks. Like,
Yeah.
you just watched me buy the socks. But then the cashier's like, oh, she left it. It's right here. And they're like, okay, you're good. But the whole thing was like, I was a criminal from the start.
But
Yeah.
again,
To the
I think like
end.
that's the retail experience now is they assume that you're guilty for wanting to shop in person.
Yeah. They
like,
start with, you're robbing us, prove us wrong. When did that happen? Well, in Walmart, we went
That
to-
was so real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It started with I'm robbing until proven otherwise.
I'm robbing you, and I'm just trying to buy socks.
Right.
Well, when we go to Walmart, this is my thing. Is like when there's that person at the exit of Walmart who's supposed to check your receipt as you leave. On principle, I just walk right by that person.
Yeah.
And my thing is, if you think I'm stealing, call the police. Sincerely.
Team.
Yeah.
If like the burden should be on you to make the accusation of you're robbing me. I'm not just gonna I'm not gonna check with you to prove I bought the stuff that I just
No.
bought from you. Also, these people they're all Walmart. They're all Ross. Like the
Yeah.
security guard, the cashier, they all work for the same company. So it's like Ross gave you a receipt because you bought it, and then immediately Ross is like, "Do you even have a receipt, bro? You gave it to me."
Right.
I mean, it is. Yeah. Also, yeah. I'm not gonna like go to the teacher to be like, "Hey, teacher, check my homework. Look, look, I paid your business." Like that's not. But I wanted to say that it hasn't always been like this because I famously worked at Gap Kids and Gap Regular.
And she stretched out all the clothes.
Well, it wasn't. Sounds like a promotion. It wasn't. No, I was just kidding. Actually, they were actually unrelated employment periods. Anyway, when I was working at Gap Kids, there was a very stringent no chase policy, which is basically like, you can't chase anyone out of the store if they like leave with stuff out of the store. And our shoplifting training included essentially being like, you can't accuse anyone of shoplifting. So even if they're shoplifting in front of your face, all you can do is provide good customer service. So every Tuesday night, the Gap Kids I worked at for a period of 6 weeks.
Sorry. I'll give my comment after.
So
I'm glad I'm not wearing my shock
I
collar
worked at
right
Gap Kids
now.
for exactly 6 weeks, and every Tuesday night without fail. And this is something I was prepped on the first Tuesday I worked there. They were like, my manager goes, "Hey, just so you know, every Tuesday night, these two girls come in, the big backpacks, and they just put so many baby clothes in these backpacks." And she goes, "And you are not allowed to do anything." She's like, "I will call like mall security and they can come and get them once they leave." She's like, they haven't been caught yet. That's what she said.
I love they come every Tuesday.
Baby clothes.
and they still haven't caught. And she goes, "You cannot chase them." And she goes, "And you can't like say like that. You can't accuse them of stealing basically because it opens them up to a lawsuit to like accuse people of stealing if you can't until they leave the store basically."
Yeah.
And she goes, "So what we do is we just like to follow them around and ask them if they need help with anything." So every Tuesday night, I was instructed to essentially kind of like walk around. These two girls are moving so quickly, and I just had to be like, "Oh, like, do you need any sizes?" Like while they're just shoving, like indiscriminately shoving baby clothes into their
I'm
backpacks.
just picturing like actual bank robbers, like with ski masks and a duffel bag of machine guns, and they're in the vault and they're just like throwing money into a bag, and then you as a bank teller walks up. "Hello, are you enjoying your time at the bank today?"
Hello, do those bills fit the needs that you have? Are those the correct size bills that you are stuffing in your bag?
But how is it an accusation if you saw them the week before already stealing things?
Because you still can't like presume guilt.
But
I
you
guess.
already saw
You already
them
saw
last
them.
week.
What?
Well, I don't know.
But also, it's like, okay, they come
literally
Tuesday night.
did.
Why can't you have the guards there, like, ready to go for Tuesday night?
Well,
I don't
clearly
know.
there's a middle
It had
ground.
to do with
Maybe she was
the
in
legal
cahoots.
policy.
Maybe she was in cahoots
Maybe
with
my
them.
manager was in cahoots.
And
with
she
them.
wasn't really
On
calling.
hindsight,
That's
maybe,
actually really-
maybe that's
Dude.
actually crazy. Wait, that's nuts.
But, like, okay, wait, are there...
I was shocked when I figured out how little she made, given how much time she was
She's
spending.
getting that
maybe-
baby clothes money on the side.
But are
Dude.
their babies just really fitted up, or are they selling the clothes?
They're definitely
They've
they were
got to
definitely
be
selling.
loaded.
the
Or
clothes.
I love the idea that
Also, they were
they're
like
not.
young women. Like I don't think they were. I don't think they had babies. They didn't give me baby vibes.
Okay.
They didn't give me. They were not giving mamacita.
But that's like a whole business on its own to be reselling baby clothes.
I think they were professional baby clothes resellers. Maybe
Okay,
Well, thieves.
thieves.
Maybe they were
Thieves.
Robin Hood. Maybe they were giving it to women's shelters.
Maybe.
Maybe they were stealing from Gap and giving it to women's shelters.
Maybe.
And that's beautiful.
Or maybe they were
Piece you
walking
up.
right outside and immediately throwing all the baby clothes away because it was just about the thrill.
That's so true.
It
Just
wasn't
the
even.
high.
It wasn't even about the product.
But again, me, age 16, walking around going like, "Oh, do you need any help?" While people shoplift.
But there
in front
has
of
to be
my
some
face.
middle ground
That is
between like
hilarious,
fully
though.
bending over to like the baby fit gang
Yeah.
and then like locking Eve in a cage as soon as she walks in to buy socks.
Right.
There has to be something in the middle.
But I also learned when we were doing our shoplifting training for Gap that there actually is a built-in cost for shoplifters.
Well, yeah.
So like every item of clothing that's sold, first of all, the margins in retail are insanely high. Like they're selling you a shirt for $20 that they paid like maybe 10 cents to manufacture overseas,
Yeah,
right?
to manufacture overseas. Wink, wink. We have child slaves in
slaves
some
are
factory
making it.
overseas.
But yeah, like there's an added cost onto item of clothing that's supposed to cover like incidentals for shoplifting. So I never understood when they said like, oh, like, you know, shoplifting contributes to $1 billion a year of loss in retail. Because I'm like, it's a built-in cost. Like every time I pay for something, I'm paying for someone to shoplift.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, they're the retailers are always the ones who announce that number, and it's like you just made up that number. Like, oh, you know, shoplifting cost us $30 billion last year.
Right.
And it's also like, oh, so you only made 20 trillion?
Oh, you only got 20 trillion billion.
I mean, it does seem like a story to tell stockholders when they like haven't made as much money as they said they would make.
Yeah.
But
You know who's completely won me over? Red Lobster has like a cool young CEO.
Oh,
you
what's
guys
his
seen him at all?
vibe? No.
His vibe is he's just like young. He's like 35. He turned around PF Chang's and he's just like doing like the press rounds talking about how he's gonna make Red Lobster awesome. And I'm kind of buying into it.
Frick yeah, are we going to Red Lobster?
I guess we have to go to Red Lobster
to support their young, cool CEO.
their young hot CEO.
Dude,
Can't wait.
did you know businesses with hot CEOs have like a 25% higher success rate than businesses with ugly CEOs?
I completely believe that. And also that's why I guess like no businesses do well because they're all ugh.
yeah.
But that just shows the power of Prime. Like, it's such a good business that it doesn't even matter that he was busted.
That's so real.
One thing I respect about Bezos is what did he do when he got rich? He started like taking a bunch of like roids and testosterone and trying to get jacked and I'm like, that's actually kind of there's something very relatable about that. The nerd.
You're like, that would be me.
Yeah. If I got Bezos's money, I would just start taking a bunch of I'd end up looking just like him.
Yeah.
I love that for you. I was thinking of one time I was in Claire's getting my ears pierced when I was like 8, and there was like this teenage girl who was cool who was talking to me, and I was like, oh, she's so cool. And then a minute later, the like sales person came by to like pierce my ears, and she was like, sorry, I had to chase down this girl who was shoplifting. Like, she was the girl who was just in here, like the girl who was just talking to me. And
That's
as
so
an 8-year-old, I
funny.
was so shook because I thought she was so cool, and I was like, wow,
Wait,
you really think you know
but
somebody?
all the baddies shoplift from Claire's.
No, I know.
Like, okay.
Obviously, she was still a bad bitch. But
Wait.
like me as an 8-year-old was just shook because I was like, wow, I thought I knew her.
When I was in 4th grade, this new girl came to school and she was like really, really cool. Like she wore thongs and we were in 4th grade.
Oh my God,
And
that-
I was just
wow,
like,
that's
wow.
crazy.
I was just like, wow. But she famously, like, if you were lucky enough to be invited to hang out with her, you'd have to shop from Claire's. And so even though I wanted to be invited to hang out with her, I was always like
I can't.
relieved that I wasn't.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like I didn't have it in me. Like I was not gonna shop from Claire's. But like I love, and she and her like little like, I think she had like 2 friends. And she made them bad girls. These were like nice girls originally, and she
Turned
did
them
corrupt
bad.
them. But they would like all give each other stolen Claire's as presents. And I was like, that's
Wow,
so
I like how
it's
she's
beautiful.
like she's like the
She kinda-
mob,
yeah,
but
yeah.
as just like the cool girls in
Yeah.
elementary school.
Also, she was like Russian. Not that has anything to do with it.
Seems like you think it does have something to do with it. You brought it up unprompted.
No, it does change the vibe though.
Yeah.
It changes the vibe.
Like, anyway, also she was like really interesting to me because she was like one of the first people that I would say like really wasn't pretty, but like man, was she like
She had
hot.
riz.
And when she was
Okay.
9, like you know what I mean? Like I was like, whoa.
she had that thong riz.
She had
Yeah.
thong riz. Like I don't even know what she was doing, but and she wasn't mean to me. She was like pretty nice to me, and a lot of other people were mean to me. So I had a lot of
Really?
respect for her.
What?
And this was me.
And this was
And this was me.
This
This
is
was who
Dana
wasn't
saying-
invited to shoplift at
This is
Claire's.
Dana saying, "I won't shoplift, but you're cool."
I won't shoplift, but you're
A
cool.
trend that I thought was terrible was that we just remember that when you are mean to me, this is who you're being mean to, followed by like a baby photo of
Yeah,
them.
we
And I'm
talked
like,
about
this.
this.
I thought we talked about
We
my
talked about it.
boyfriend.
But isn't that kind of the similar thing?
But that was like when I'm being mean to my boyfriend, then I remember this
But
is
this
who.
is when you're
but
being
this
mean
is
to
like, but you're
me.
talking about yourself. Like at least when you do it to your boy, it's still cringe, but it's not like
You can't
as
small
bad.
being
Like,
yourself.
You can't small being yourself. Like if you small being your boyfriend, okay, weird. But
yeah.
small being in yourself is like, come on.
That wouldn't work with me because I still look diabolical as a
Right,
kid. I'm
right,
like, just
yeah.
a reminder, when you're mean to me, you're being mean to him too. And it's me at 4 being like,
Diabolical smirk.
Yeah.
Like that's a kid who needed the rod.
okay. Dana's always, she pulled that phrase from the Bible. It's like, you got to give kids the rod. So now whenever we see a child out in public, Dana's like,
The rod.
that kid needs the rod. Meanwhile, Dana, it's like, you would never give
you should
anyone
go up
the
and tell
rod.
their parents that.
I should
Be like, they
you
need
need
the
to rod
rod.
your child.
Well-
Well, I have seen a lot of educators on TikTok who complain about this, but they were talking about how physical discipline that's how always discipline skips a generation, because what will happen basically is that like one generation of kids, their parents will beat the fucking shit out of them,
Yeah.
and then they swear to themselves like, I'm never gonna beat the shit out of my kids, and then their kids are fucking unruly little miscreants. I
And
think
then
we fall
beat-
into this category.
Okay, so we're gonna beat the shit out of our kids.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna beat the shit out of my kid because
Eve's-
I know
here
that what
first.
not getting beat did to me, and I'm like, I will not let my child talk. Like, okay, our parents were like, I'm not gonna beat the shit out of my kid because like I hated when my parent beat the shit out of me. I'm like, I'm not gonna let my fucking kid talk to me the way I talk to my parents because they didn't beat the shit out of me.
Eve's kid is gonna be like, is gonna be watching Once Upon a Time. Is gonna be like, but wait a minute, that's not Belle. And he's gonna be like, that's Belle in Once Upon a Time.
I'm like, I have a gnarly belt
But
collection.
they won't know
with
any different because
rhinestones.
they're not going to see the original Belle.
So you're
They're
gonna
only
show
gonna
your
see
children.
Once Upon a
You're gonna show your
Time.
children Once Upon a Time before you show them like the Disney princess cartoons.
Dude, Once Upon a Time is
Obviously.
your canon
That's worse
fairy
than just
tales.
hitting them. That's worse than just hitting them.
Also, they're gonna be so confused at school.
Yeah, the kids are gonna be
Like
like,
everyone has like accepted
Yeah.
understanding of fairy tale lore.
everyone's gonna be
Are
like,
people
I
still
love
going
the
to be
Little
watching
Mermaid.
that then? I mean, I guess since no new media
also
fairy
is
tales will
good.
stand the test of time.
Little Mermaid predated Dana and I by like
Yeah.
5
Yeah,
years. I think
people
those
still
are
watch
kind of
it. Ryan
classics.
Lion King was still my favorite, and that
Well,
was like
our kids are gonna love Mulan.
Yeah.
What if they hate Mulan? What if they're racist and sexist?
Well, we would have a say in that. It's not
we're
like
gonna beat it out of them.
if our toddler is racist, that's purely our fault. Like that's not like no 5-year-olds turn out racist. I am just like the Gen Z's gonna have kids and their kids are gonna be like, Daddy, why are you painting your fingernails? He's like, give me my belt. I'm gonna teach you tolerance, you Trumpy fuck.
Dude, we're gonna beat the Trumpy fuck out of our kids.
Yeah. Just to be clear, we're not gonna hit our kids. To be so clear about that. I know
for
we've been
yourself.
talking about it with a lot of severity.
yourself
We're not
is
gonna hit our
crazy.
kids. We're not gonna hit our kids.
Speak for yourself.
We're not gonna hit our kids.
No, I probably don't have it in me to do that.
You don't. Well, also Dana was like joking around about this, but then one time we were at like this little like diner, and Dana had a cheeseburger, and this little girl wandered over from her parents who were at another table, and they weren't paying attention to her, and she wandered over to Dana, opened up Dana's little box with her cheeseburger, took the bun off, and Dana's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then took the pickles off one by one.
And she started licking them and putting them back on my
Wait,
plate.
the story's worse than I remember.
No, yeah, she picked the pickles off, licked the
Of Dana's
pickles,
burger?
and put them back. And the whole time I'm just like,
What? Okay, there's no way you're beating them.
But she had like, okay, but she had a really similar energy to me. Like she had like cute
was
little
wearing
pink
pink.
bobble hair ties.
I can't believe you let yourself get disrespected
Well,
like
but
that.
to me, I was like, her parents
But
were
then
standing
again,
right
I'm
behind her, and I'm like, why
secondhand
didn't they
smoothie,
say
so-
anything? Like, why didn't
Yeah.
her parents say anything? And then I was like to Robert after she left, I was like, her parents need to give her the rod.
And I was like, well,
that is rod territory.
like, she's
Dana literally
unruly.
for the whole time, because I'm just watching this happen, for the whole time Dana's just like
why
smiling.
didn't you stand up for her?
Yeah, why didn't
what? You should beat the shit out of
why didn't I beat up this
Or
child?
at least beat up her parents. They're adults. You could beat them
yeah,
up.
why didn't you beat them up?
I have to give a little bit of context here
Yeah, we were
because this
on
was
a reservation.
it was a camping trip, and
Yeah.
the trail led through like a Native American reservation.
reservation.
So the little girl was a member of the tribe, as were her parents. No, I, as a white man, am not gonna do that.
But it
I
wasn't
wouldn't
for
anyway.
racial reasons. It's
Even-
because she licked the pickles on your
Right,
burger.
isn't it- wasn't it- wouldn't it
In
be racist
every
not
culture,
to?
In every
No,
culture, that
no.
is not okay.
Even if the little girl was white, I would not
Natives
have hit
sound
her.
off if you think that's not. If you think he should have squared up with her parents.
native sound off. Do you think that Young Gold has a substantial Native American audience?
Well, we're gonna find out. We're
Yeah.
gonna see who sounds
Sound
off
off.
about
No.
if Robert should have squared up with her parents. Because I think everyone of any culture would be like, "That's fucked up." Did you get a new burger?
No.
You ate it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't eat it.
She just kind of like whatever.
You
She
just
kinda
were
gave
like,
up
"It's
on it.
done now."
yeah, I was like, it's
It was a
done now.
little girl.
I
It
was
was a
surrendered it.
pickle. No, and also, but it's
Also,
like,
I was sick and I wasn't hungry anyway.
Okay.
but Daniel went the whole time was like, oh,
She was like,
okay.
"There you go. I'm making you skinny."
I was already
Yeah.
really skinny at the time, but that was a different era.
But she was like, just to maintain.
yeah, she was like, you want to maintain that.
Yeah.
That
And you're
slim
saying that
physique.
in this Native American reservation, I should have flipped the table and said, this is an uncivilized environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Savages,
Right.
savages.
I should've-
I mean, it was giving.
But that's-
No, it wasn't.
I'm just kidding.
But anyone can say that that's effed up. Anyone can say
I
that.
do
I
think-
don't know how effed up it
I
is.
do
This
think
was like a
when
little
you see
girl.
your
This was like a baby
kid-
girl.
She was baby. She was a
But
baby.
okay, again, let's forget about the girl. The parents. Where were the parents?
They were right there.
They
That
were
was
right
almost
there.
that was
Like, did
frustrating.
they see it? Did they witness it?
They literally
They were
were
kinda
not. They
glancing
were kind of
over.
like they were kind of like zoning out. They didn't really give a fuck. Like
I'm like,
they
that's
weren't, like,
crazy
I don't think
behavior.
they understood. She was like literally taking pickles off my plate,
That's
licking them, and
fucking
putting them back.
crazy.
I just couldn't even believe because also I'm like, if she wants to take a pickle and eat it, whatever, I guess. To lick it and put it back on the plate.
Taking a pickle and eating it is still too far.
I mean, yeah,
You can't touch strangers' food.
That's true.
that is true.
But I will say, guys, this is all this kind of like vitriol is all after the fact. In the moment, Dana was delighted that this little girl with Dana's style was even
She was really
showing
cute.
her food attention.
And that's pretty privileged. As you
was
can go
really
around
cute.
licking pickles.
Go around licking pickles off the plate.
Yeah, I was
And
like,
that
she
little
needs the
girl was
rod.
Barack Obama.
That
little
was
girl?
Barack Obama.
I also just know this: if Eve was out in public and a little girl started doing that, Eve would also be
No,
delighted.
No,
You
I
would
wouldn't be delighted, but
No,
I
Eve would be mad, but in her inside.
Well, Eve would come back.
Yeah,
Eve would
and
do
then-
exactly what
yeah.
Dana did. She would come back and
be
start
like, what
complaining
the
on the
hell?
pod.
Well, yeah, I know. I'd start being like, "Oh, I should have beat the shit out of her. I should have fucking squared
But
up
here's
with
the
her."
moment you
if
wouldn't.
my kid does that to a stranger, I will beat the
No,
shit
you won't.
out of
No, you
her.
won't. It's so important that you guys know that's not gonna happen. It's never.
Oh
gonna
my! But if I saw that happen, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll get you a new burger."
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then I would beat the shit out of them.
I think clearly there was like
So,
again neglect.
Let's
on
game
behalf
this
of
out
the
for a
parent.
second. Let's
Yeah.
say it's not us. Let's say like we're out and we look at a table next to us and there's like a girl, a woman of Dana's age, and then a little girl walks up, same situation, eats the pickle, puts it back, eats the pickle, and the woman stands up, walks over to the little girl's parents, and just starts punching them in the face. You two would look at that and go, "Oh yeah, that's what should happen. Oh yeah, that's exactly what should happen."
Start like with a convo. Like
Right,
you can be
right.
like, "Hey,
Yeah.
your daughter's licking my pickles."
Yeah. Well, how are you going to make this up to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are we gonna? How
Do
are we
you
gonna
think
move
you could get me a
forward?
new burger?
Right.
Thanks.
No.
Right.
I think that exactly what happened is what would happen every time. It's
I do
you
think if we were to
nod, you
go back and
smile.
like keep reliving the scenario, I would not be willing to change anything.
You would
about
not
it.
change a single thing about it.
No, I don't think I'd be willing to change a thing about it.
And I would not change a single thing about it. Also, at the time, again, you were delighted that this little girl, who again dressed like Dana,
I was delighted
Kinda
at
looked like
first.
Dana, younger.
Yeah, she literally was so tiny.
you loved that she walked over and was paying attention to you. Yes, to pick pickles off your plate, lick them and put them back, but you were delighted. Come on.
I didn't realize that what she was gonna do was pick pickles off my plate, lick them, put them back.
No one could have predicted that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild of her. That was a wild pull.
That's
Anyway.
diabolical.
Also today we were talking about how if I was a stripper, I would only dance to Hamilton songs.
But you would get a really specific crowd.
Yeah, well,
But that crowd would never find its way. I just imagine because Dana,
I was like,
Wouldn't find its way to the club.
like just like picture me on the stage, like just like slowly tearing off clothes. Like after the war, I went back to New York.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, but you could
Practice law.
advertise like maybe it wouldn't happen organically at the club, but if you like promoted it like
On social
Hamilton
media.
themed strip club,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then maybe it would have a certain turnout.
I think I have a lot of weirdos who would show up to see that.
but I think weirdos would show up
regardless of the music.
of the music. I think in terms of you want Hamilton fans who also
Fans,
want to
yeah.
be in the strip club.
Yeah.
I think maybe like a gay club.
But that's just kind of like a
I don't
drag
know.
performance.
Yeah, then I'm
Okay,
like-
well, I don't know.
Well, young old Danators, comment if you're a Hamilton fan and a
Could you
strip club
burp into the
fan.
mic again? I think people want to hear that a lot. Over.
Over.
Hi. So just to be so clear, we're not going to do child abuse to our kids.
Speak for yourself.
No, I.
I think that we will discuss our
There's no discussion.
disciplinary techniques, especially it really depends on the
There's
child.
no depending.
I've heard parents say this, but they're like, you really need to be a different kind of parent to every child.
Yeah. So for my
Someone you need to beat the shit out of.
Maybe some will need the rod and others won't.
yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think for our youngest, we really want to be like a really kind, like gentle parent. For our middle, we kind of want to be a little hands off and we kind of let them find their independence. For our oldest, we're meeting them in the octagon one on one, and we're not going to stop till they tap out. And what's problematic about that?
I do think for me, the reason probably why I wouldn't physically abuse my child.
Okay, yeah,
The
yeah,
one.
for sure.
The one thing
Let's hear
holding you
it.
back,
Would
go
be
on.
because like I am small and it would be like not that long before
They
they
beat the
outgrew me.
you That's
It's
so
just like,
real.
It's
That's
just like
so
that's
real.
not a long. I don't have that.
You
I don't
do
have a big,
not
I don't
have
have big
that
enough
many
window.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm
Before
by
they
the
start
time-
fighting
especially,
back.
If it's a boy, by the time they're 7, I'm toast.
Yeah, no. yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, it's definitely not a good idea because payback is imminent.
yeah. It's the clock is ticking.
It's ticking big time.
My kid will be bigger than me very quickly.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't want to buy into this base reality. This will never happen. But I'm imagining like I'm very meek, but obviously you've won this argument, and I'm like, so what I do is like behind your back, I just train our child. I just give them extra protein, and I give them techniques. I'm like, what you do is you reference a name from her childhood in San Diego where she wasn't popular. This will throw her, distract her, send her on a
That's
tangent.
a great technique for fighting Dana. Not that you obviously
Yeah.
most people can physically overpower you, but
Also-
if you want to throw her off
You know what
mentally,
you could
a good
absolutely
one.
do is like that trend on TikTok where it's like I'm so hungry I could eat, and then you name like some random person from
Yeah.
that person's past.
yeah.
Well, but then you wouldn't even. The whole fun of that trend is that person looks really surprised and taken aback. You would just go off. I'm like, I'm just gonna make up a name like I'm so hungry I could eat Jake Smith, and you're like, Jake Smith probably would love it if I tried to eat him because he always had a crush on me, and that's actually why that his wife tried to take his daughter out of my dance class because I knew that Jake Smith wanted to gobble me up. I'm like, all
That's
right.
so real. That's so real. She wouldn't even think about you knowing the name. She would just immediately have the lore ready to go.
Also, okay, I love how Dana's always like, I was unpopular as a kid. I have no friends now, and I don't even know why. Also, Dana, when there's one lull in the conversation, I'm gonna hit my kids. What? What's wrong with it? I'm an animal. Until they're big enough to fight me back, then I'll quit. Like, hey. You have to see
Dude, it
this.
is actually so painful sometimes when someone will comment like, "I can see why you don't have any friends" on like a random TikTok of mine.
And you're
Yeah.
like, damn.
Well, it's like you'll make 30 TikToks about I have no friends, haha, and then someone comments, you have no friends, haha, and you're like, whoa.
I'm like,
You're like,
whoa,
whoa.
you didn't have to. You didn't have to go
Whoa.
there, man.
What the frick?
Cyberbullying is a problem.
T. I was gonna say something, but now I can't remember. Oh, you guys started watching Smallville.
Yeah,
which
now you're
we've-
watching Smallville.
Yeah, and I started watching, and then
We
Robert
can't-
goes, oh, reheating our nachos.
You are reheating our nachos.
You are reheating my nachos from 2 years ago.
No, because
No,
the only
it's
reason
not-
you're rewatching is because you stopped watching it, having a good time. You're
And
like, I want to have a good time
he
like
goes,
that.
He goes, are you watching Smallville? And I go, yeah, I had FOMO.
Yes, you're
I
reheating our
admitted
nachos.
it. But then you go, oh, I'm reheating our nachos.
You
And it's
are
like,
reheating our
you're
nachos.
reheating our nachos.
You can't reheat our nachos and then be like, as if I would ever want to reheat your nachos. But you are reheating our nachos.
But in theory, you are reheating my nachos from 2 years ago.
We
No.
didn't even know that you were watching it 2 years ago.
Also, it's
Yes,
not
you
that-
did.
No, it's but we didn't start watching it until what? Do you think at the time we're like, I want to reheat Eve's nachos, but then she'll know we're reheating
So
our
we
nachos.
should wait 2
Let's
years.
wait
Yeah,
2 years.
I honestly,
But
now that you say it,
to
sounds
me,
plausible.
to me, it's more the pattern. We started watching One Tree Hill. Eve goes off
Well,
watches
'cause
One
it
Tree Hill.
reminds me that
we
I
had
like that
AMC
show.
stubs. Eve gets AMC stubs. We start watching Smallville. Eve goes watches Smallville.
Okay, you know what? I have something to say about AMC stubs, which is that when Dana had AMC stubs, I would sometimes use her account too, because like you get like a bunch of movies per week, and usually you don't use all of
Up
them
to 3 movies
anyways,
per
right?
Yeah.
So I would use her account, and then I stopped using it, and I got logged out, and I was like, "Oh, can I log back into your AMC stubs?" She's about to give me the password when her evil Grand Vizier chimes in and goes, "Dana, I think it would be wise to make the leech get her own AMC stubs account."
And you know what I'll say about that? It was wise to make the leech get her own AMC stubs account.
But
Robert
then-
obviously is the Grand Vizier.
Then
for
I
anyone
get
confused.
for anyone confused.
Yeah.
Then I get my own AMC subs account. Dana doesn't have one anymore because she was broke for a period.
Yeah.
And
I'm back.
she's back.
Yeah.
But when she was down, I was like, "Oh, you can always use mine."
But Dana never asked
can al-
to use hers.
But I offered.
But you offered just so you could performatively be like, oh, well.
I'm just
I
saying
offered
when
mine.
the tables were turned.
But the
And
tables
we're
weren't
just saying
turned.
we can't watch a TV show without you starting to watch the same TV
Also-
show.
And what's wrong with that?
Well, it's-
what's wrong with that is I lap you. And
Well,
then,
yeah.
Well, then you act like you're
Well, you
doing
act like
it
you're
better.
like, yeah, you act like you're doing it better.
And-
we were saying that today, where we're like, oh no, she's
And-
watching Smallville and she
and-
thinks she's doing it better.
Yeah,
She
I
thinks
am.
she's
She
doing
thinks
it
she's
better.
doing it
We're like,
am.
really? it's like Robert and I enjoy an episode or two an evening. You just like sit there all day and you're filled.
Well, Eve sees us. Eve sees us laughing together and having a great time and making little jokes about Smallville, and she gets FOMO and she goes, I should go watch 4 seasons of that show in 2 days in the pitch black dark with the shades drawn. Yeah. And then it's like, well, and then she does that and she goes, oh, you're still on season 1? It's like, yeah, we're having a nice time.
No, we're taking our time. We're savoring the episode.
All I'm hearing is Gotti's on my end.
Okay.
Well, it is like, I imagine that's what Eve hears all the time, where it's like when we open our mouths and speak, it just comes in. It's Eve's voice saying, they're stupid, you've got a Gotti. They're dumb, you've got a Gotti. They're so dumb, you've got a Gotti.
Whenever you try to say something that to make me look bad, it just makes me look good.
But we're not trying to make you look bad.
But whenever you're defending yourself, it comes off as like promo for me.
It's not promo for. I'm just
know what I
saying
mean?
you're reheating our nachos.
Okay, whatever.
And also, and here's the
Whatever.
thing. You can reheat our nachos, but then be like, hey, you guys have great nachos.
But
I really
did
enjoy
say that.
reheating
You
them.
said, "Are you watching Smallville?" And I said, "Yeah, I had FOMO."
And I said,
And then-
reheating our
yeah,
nachos.
but you were disgusted. You were like, ugh.
Well,
It's like
because
I'd
now it's a
already
trend.
admitted it.
Now it's a trend.
Whatever.
You did it with
And
Whatever.
also, I know that it's
Whatever.
going to come up in 2 days. She's going to come in like,
Whatever.
Are you at the part where Clark and Lex go to the moon? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, I already am. It's in season
And that's
8.
gonna be a Gotti for me.
And it's not a Gotti.
And that's a Gotti.
You turn it into it's not a who can watch the most episodes competition.
That's also it. Yeah, you make it like a competition that we didn't know there was a competition. It's like we started like running what we thought was not a race. We're just like running.
Yeah.
And then you come and you're like,
Okay,
hey,
yeah.
so this is where you're running, and then you start like going faster. And
Even
we're like,
stubs, you act like
wait,
it's a
what?
race to see who can offer the other person to use their stubs the most times, so no one is in stubs usage debt. It's like, no, it's just like if you want to go to use stubs, get your own stubs.
I've tuned
And
you out
did.
at this point. All I hear is you good girl. You got the Gottis right and left.
Okay, Eve, what you don't understand is you're good, girl. You got this right and left. Chubbs is dumb. You're smart. What you
Yeah.
don't get is Dana
That's what I'm
Robert
hearing.
old ugh.
Yeah.
You
T-
young cool.
Oh, and also, I think we've mentioned this before, but they are so threatened by my journey to body tea.
We're not threatened.
Robert wakes up in the middle of the night going, "Oh, her body's tea."
No, we're not threatened.
No, it's just that Eve's habits have taken an admittedly disturbing.
It's not disturbing.
we're
You're
disturbed. How come
threatened.
we're disturbed?
Because you're threatened.
every
Big
day,
time.
every time we go to SoulCycle on Sundays.
We have mentioned this before. But
Yeah, but I think it's
like,
important to know where we're at.
Let me say where we're at. So previously we went to Phil's, and I have talked about Eve's reduction in her coffee. Now, you guys, so Eve went from, I would say, a 700 calorie Phil's indulgence.
Well, she would get a
after
coffee
every
sweet with a
SoulCycle,
pastry, sometimes a burrito.
that reduced to either the pastry or the sweet and creamy coffee with the addition of a light sweet coffee if she was getting
And then it
pastry.
went to
then
just
it went
the
to
coffee.
just the coffee. So there was no pastry and the coffee was light and cream. Now, you guys, we've dropped to a 0-calorie tea. So she's gone from a 700
I've gotten the
calorie
tea before.
Phil's indulgence to a 0-calorie Phil's indulgence.
And they're
That
quaking,
is
and
a
they're
steep drop off.
quaking.
No, we're not quaking. And if you get skinny, that's great.
Well,
That's
you are
great. You are
skinny. I mean, like,
you
let's
look great already.
the body is tea, but like Chubbs is like, body's gonna be more tea than mine.
No, it's because
No, we are not
well, because I got a
competitive.
pastry, and I always get large with Max everything because because I'm Chubbs, and that's what Chubbs
Well, no,
does.
you got light sweet, light cream in your coffee.
Oh, I do?
Do you want me to start getting you sweet and creamy coffee?
No, I don't want to get ugly. No, but it is just like, go back to that episode of Young Old where we talk about like BMI is fake, science is fake. So it's classic Eve. She's like shit talking her bio teacher. She's like, this shit's dumb. If you fall into that web, it's dumb. And then in Phil, she's like, I would like your lightest water,
I just
please.
had intense deja vu. So either you've done that exact bit before, or like I'm actually.
Well, I'm
have a mental-
referencing
We
a
probably, I
podcast
think we have the
did.
same episode every week. To be honest with you,
Yeah. Every
Sorry,
week.
that really made me
and
feel like
we
I was
have
in a groundhog
and we have
day.
amnesia every week, and we just do the same episode over
Well,
and
as-
over again. It's literally Shutter Island.
Well, I said this on another girl's podcast where I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if we are in an insane asylum and one of the activities in our asylum is that they let us pretend we're hosting a podcast?
It's what it's giving. It's what it's giving. saying.
Well, not to jump on, but I was on another guy's podcast yesterday, and at one point I caught myself talking about how, like, television used to be 22 episodes a year, and now streaming, it's like, and as I'm saying, I'm like, is this just kind of like my act that I take on the road?
You're a pole doll, and those are your phrases.
I just like I'm just a pole doll, and I'm set up in front of different podcasts. Streaming is fake. They used to have 22 episode seasons. Don't beat your child, Dana.
Don't beat your child.
That's
Dana.
a new addition. I like, we got to get this one in there. Dana's not going to hit her kids.
Speak for yourself.
No,
It's okay because you're gonna train them
T.
in secret.
But what if they're really racist?
What if our kid's racist? So I don't want to be problematic. It's like, if my child's racist, can I hit them?
Okay, you have to beat the
Is
race.
that
It's your
what
fault
people
that they're racist.
Whoa. No, I do think I'm sure that take existed. Well, I remember that was a take one time. I remember that little boy who got bullied at school, and he posted a video crying. And so Chris Evans invited him to the Avengers premiere.
And
because
Haley Steinfeld was like gonna hang out with him.
And then everyone was going to hang out with him. And he did go to the premiere, but then it came out that his parents were Trump supporters. So then everyone online was like, actually, fuck this kid. It's good he got bullied. But like, it's not like he got bullied because his parents were Trump supporters.
Also, I'm sure everyone at his school was. I'm sure he was.
Yeah, I'm
just
sure the
bullied
bullies'
regardless.
parents weren't
Well,
like
beyond that, I'm
wearing
like,
Obama
what do
stickers.
you mean it's cool to get bullied for your parents' political beliefs? Like,
But
I
I
doubt
think-
that was why he was
I don't
bullied.
think it was.
No, obviously not.
But my
obviously not.
point is, like, it's totally disconnected. So now it's like you're allowed to bully a kid
as
if
long as his parents are
their
Trump
parents have
supporters.
bad political
Yeah.
beliefs.
And then also there was like a gotcha to the celebrities that were like reaching out to him. It was like, wow, you're really gonna invite this kid to the premiere whose family is Republican.
Yeah.
Y'all are nuts.
Well, also Captain America would be Republican.
On God.
And that okay, this is something that always bothers me whenever people joke around about like which fictional character would be Republican. They just do the boring thing where they say every character I like is a Dem,
Yeah.
and every character I dislike is Repub. But it's like, honestly, it's like, I'm pretty sure Captain America Steve Rogers is like your typical libertarian-esque Republican. That was his
Yeah.
whole thing with the Sokovia Accords. He didn't want to be
Well,
regulated.
also, again, all of these people are pro big military. Obviously,
Tony
they
Stark
rely on military contracts.
Tony
for
Stark
their
is as
living.
if like a top Republican guy, like a huge Republican donor, tried to go lib.
And that's what Civil War is about.
Yeah. That is what Civil War is about.
And also this is the Marvel Unpacking.
This is the Marvel
podcast
Unpacking. Like,
also.
Tony Stark his whole thing is he's the main Republican, and he switches and goes lib, and everyone in his life is like, whoa.
But people always hate our Marvel takes.
Well, they think we're really... Well,
That's because the Marvel community sucks.
I think, can
ass.
I
We don't
say
just
an
puppet
assertion?
the bullshit back.
I also think it's because we're hotter than most people who talk about Marvel.
And they're like, get out of here,
No, I
hotties.
think that they can't, like, there's a kind of ugly nerd who, when a hot person talks about their interest, they cannot ever let themselves believe that the hot person might know anything
Okay,
about
I
their
have to say
interest.
this. It's still going viral, but like that clip where I talk about how all the early MCU movies starred white people, even though they had released black superhero movies before that had been successful. And Hancock came out the same year as Iron Man. But then I see people in the comments saying, Blade started Marvel. So what are you talking about? Blade was not a Marvel production. It was a Marvel comic book character that was sold to another studio. I'm talking about the MCU. Blade would help my point because Blade was successful. It was like the first superhero movie trilogy that was super successful. So like, and yet why did the MCU pretend that like they couldn't have any like black characters in lead roles if Blade already happened in the 90s? That helps my point. Maybe it's like we hate talking about Marvel. We're like, people hate when we talk about Marvel, but every time we start talking about Marvel, it's like the
to
heat
me,
gets up.
Yeah. No, I think that's really true. I think you have a lot. You're really, you get fired up.
Well, you guys got fired up too. You thought Tony Stark was molesting Peter Parker, and you
Obviously,
believed
we
that.
saw what happened in the room. He didn't get molested.
But
If anything, if the criticism is mostly, obviously there's criticism towards Tony. You shouldn't be locking the door. It's weird. But the criticism is mostly towards Aunt May, who, didn't bat an eye when all this happened.
Okay, maybe we should talk about something we've never talked about.
Yeah,
I know the young holders love to hear the same episode every week. It's what they'll be scared if we branch out.
Oh, also, you referenced this earlier. I think this is something they have not heard. We thought they did. I don't think they've heard the secondhand smoothie story.
The people say they haven't, even though I'm sure that we have.
And if
but
you've heard this story before, let us know. I'll put the
But we're
shock
gonna-
collar back on, and they'll
T.
electrocute me next up. But secondhand smoothie story, go for Eve.
And this does lend points to that I would react the same way as you did to
With
the
the
girl with the
pickle.
Yeah.
pickles, even though in my brain I'm like, oh, I would have beat the shit out of her. But I never do.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite meek IRL. And basically I went to get a smoothie after Soul Cycle, and this guy, like, he was, you know, being overly friendly in the, I don't know. Okay, that's, you know, just to get his vibe down. Okay, that's how he was. And then I'm like, oh, can I get this smoothie? And he's like, here you go. And then like slaps like a already made smoothie like down
Old
on the counter,
smoothie,
like a smoothie that's clearly
unclaimed.
but, like maybe somebody ordered it and like didn't pick it up, like that sort of thing, like a smoothie that's already been made. And then he like looks at it and he goes, actually, I might have to reblend it. And I'm like, okay.
Also reblend it. No, make a
Make
new
a
one.
new
And then
smoothie.
I proceed to pay $15 for the smoothie that is secondhand reblended, and I regret it every day. Okay,
$15 for a
$15.
detox smoothie.
Bro, that's so real. I relive this moment in my nightmares, and I see him at the smoothie store, and I think about confronting him. And every day I wake up in a cold sweat, going, "Why do you say anything, you stupid bitch?" So before anyone can hop on my ass for being like, why'd you let yourself get disrespected for that, I beat myself up about it every day.
But like for a $15 smoothie, no, I'm not taking like some smoothie that someone ordered 20 minutes ago and didn't pick up.
Well, that's what I
Like-
always think about stuff like this.
What?
When people will, when like a lot of times right-wing people will criticize LA for being like, oh, you know, there's homeless people everywhere. Oh, you know, Gavin Newsom. Oh, you know, it sucks. Oh, LA, the infrastructure's falling apart. And it's like, LA doesn't suck because of any of that. LA sucks because they're charging you $15 for a smoothie that's a secondhand smoothie, and that's not, they're not even making a fresh smoothie when you pay $15
this has,
for a
like,
smoothie.
this also has never happened before though. Like, this is an isolated incident, and like, I don't know. It was so
I mean, I think that's a lesson from the universe that you need to fucking grow
no,
some balls.
obviously I need to stand up for myself. And then
Yeah.
we had another interaction where, and again, every time I see him, I'm always like, do I bring it up? Do I
Yeah.
bring
well,
up
now
the
it's
incident?
too late. It's
Obviously
much too
now
late.
it's
You'd
too
seem
late.
like a really
now
crazy
I seem
person.
crazy, but it's
Yeah.
like actually anything I do to him is not crazy because of what he did to me. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called
I can
reactive
burn his house
abuse.
down and I can be like, well,
Yeah,
well,
smoothie. Well, that's the
um,
Jason and the Trisha. He counted her chicken nuggets.
Of course.
counter chicken nuggets. But another time first of all, he's like, oh, remind me your name again. And I'm like, how could you forget someone who you, it's like when Thanos like doesn't remember the guy whose family, you know,
Yeah.
like, period. Okay. But then he's like, makes my smoothie and then he's like, it was so weird. He like holds the smoothie and he's like, you smoothie Eve. Like just like that.
Like doing a bit, like doing
yeah,
a...
like doing a like he's like trying to play around with me. And like the thing is like if he had never wronged me, like if it was a
Yeah.
different employee that did that, I would have just been like, oh, like do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't, but I literally made the most disgusted face on the planet at him, like to make him feel so bad about doing that. Because like, and I couldn't even help myself. Like I was, because I already
Do
in
the
my head,
face.
every time I was just like,
Wait a minute, but that's the face you make whenever I do a bit. So that can't
the thing
be...
is like I just like I can't stop. Whenever I see him in my head, I'm like, I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. I fucking
But
hate
what
you.
sucks is he doesn't even
doesn't know
connect
why.
it.
No,
he
I
doesn't,
know.
he
He doesn't
thought
even know.
nothing
Yeah.
of that.
He doesn't even
He has
know.
no
And he probably
idea.
was like, why didn't she like my bit? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
And brother, I've been there.
Also, it's like,
and I
okay,
made
it's really
him,
interesting is like, wait, when you act passive aggressive to people who like do bold, who play in your face boldly,
No,
what you don't
yeah.
understand. No, I'm just saying this in general.
He
for
thinks we're
everyone.
besties. Like, he has no idea.
But I'm like, but that's my thing. I'm like, when people are like just like low grade, disrespectful people, it's like you're never gonna do a passive aggressive gesture that's gonna make them go like rack their brain for all the things they could have done wrong. Because in their mind, they can't do any wrong.
Right.
Like they don't compute that.
Well, I remember
It's
in
not
college,
effective.
I had to take one French class, and we were in like a group. It was a group project. It was me. It was this kind of nerdy guy, and there was like this like jock lacrosse frat guy, and the jock lacrosse frat guy would be late every time we met. And so finally he's been late a few times. And like, it's like me and this, it's just me and this nerd guy waiting in the library. And the nerd guy is fuming. He is so furious. And the jock guy strolls up 40 minutes late, like nothing's wrong. And then he sits down, he's like, all right, let's get to work. And the nerd guy goes, I am so mad. You're so late. And I'm just so frustrated. And the lacrosse guy goes, great. Let's use that. And then
Wait, is that what you got?
That's
you
so
That's where I get let's use that
Robert
from.
always,
That's
Robert
iconic.
always says, let's use that when I'm at
That's
him.
literally, it's
he's
like
always
my
like,
bet.
let's use
Yeah,
this.
good. Let's use it.
Oh my
It's from that guy.
How to
Wait.
make someone who's mad infinitely
Dude,
more
I'm
mad.
like-
Use that is so wild.
And I didn't care at all. Literally none of this bothered me. I was just like on my laptop, but that
That's so
killed
funny.
me. I think about it all the time.
Okay, that reminds me
Bruh.
of this one group project I was in. I'm sure I've talked about this. I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, but I was in this group project and our dad had just died. And I go in and this girl who's in my group, she's like sobbing and she's like, so I just found out my dad has stage 2 cancer. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave. And in my head, I'm like, my dad just fucking died. But then I didn't say anything and I ended up doing all of the group project.
Bruh, wait,
Yeah.
I wonder like her reaction though to, or I mean, if she ever found
I don't know
out.
if she
It
ever
would
found
just
out
feel like
that my dad died,
one-upsmanship.
but it was just like really funny because I'm like, okay, like I like
You're
once
like,
once you
mine's
start
dead, bitch.
yeah,
sit
but like
down.
because she started because she came in first. She immediately there was no room.
Right.
Like, oh, my dad has stage 2 cancer. I have to go, and I'm like, okay. And I can't.
Right.
Then I can't be like,
can't
but I
one-up her.
also
You
it's
can't
like,
one-up
my
her.
dad's stage 2 cancer. Well, my dad just died. It's
What
like,
if someone
that's
else?
lying?
What
Like,
if she goes, my dad has stage 4 cancer, stage 2
Stage 2.
cancer,
Also-
and then you go, well, my dad just died, and maybe someone else like thinks you're old, like kind of doing a scam, like, yeah, and my mom and my dad died, right? And you're like, no, we're being serious.
But then maybe you guys could have just gotten the whole group excused, you know? You should have just banded together.
But like I didn't have that in me, and in my head I was just like so mad.
Well, how
at
many people
her.
were in the group? 3?
It was a three group,
Yeah,
but,
so
but
two-
one of the people was a real dud. Like she was the only one who had ever been.
Well, what
doing
you
work
should have done is
on the
you
project
should have
with me.
the dud. You should have killed her dad.
Yeah,
That way we're kind
and
of
then
you
all
can't
of
make
you.
yeah you have to give us a
Right.
good grade, all three of
Right.
us. Man, there was one time it was the only time this has ever happened. Like I was the dud in a group, but just because I think people assumed I would be the dud, so
Right,
they never
they
looped
never
me in.
gave you the
We got a
chance.
great grade. I still feel bad because I'm like it was a full semester project. I would email being like, "What should I do?" and they'd be like, "Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it." I
Okay,
think
but
they were
sometimes-
friends.
Here's my thing though. Sometimes you do get into a group project where like there's people who actively would rather have you butt the fuck out. Like who actively are like, I got this, like I want to do it. And you're like, okay.
Well, they
like
clearly wanted that, and I
Yeah.
was so I literally was stressed because obviously I don't know what they're doing. And then on like the final day we did our presentation, they had me read a slide. We got an A, and I'm like, oh, all right.
and sometimes it'd be like that.
Sometimes it'd
you
be
know?
like that.
I also think like it balances out. Like I've definitely been in group projects where like yeah, like I haven't done very much work, and I've been in group projects where like I've done all the work, and it's ebbs and flows, baby. But I think in general, I'm like group projects are a necessary assignment to like make you figure out how you
Work in a group.
and communicate with other
and
people.
some people don't.
And some people don't.
And that's valuable to learn as
and
well.
that's valuable to learn.
And let's use that.
And let's use that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
let's
like
use
I would
that.
always be like, I'm gonna be a dud. Like I would be like, try to be a dud, and then everyone else would just be so a dud that I'm like, I'm like, y'all are dudding the shit out of me. Like,
Dude,
like
they're
you
out
are
dudding
eating
you.
me up.
Yeah, dude.
If it's a dud contest, like y'all hate me up. Like I have to step in. Also, because I know I'm the only one who can even undud myself. Like I'm like, I know you're not pretending like I'm trying to be a dud right
Dude,
now.
I do think group projects are a dud game of chicken. Ultimately.
Dud chicken is dud chicken. And I'm like, I know that you're not even playing right now. Like, I know you're not even trying to be like this.
Eve wants to turn on her dud setting, but the other people don't even have another setting.
No,
it's
they
their
don't.
only
They
setting.
don't.
They're dud default.
Because I'm always like, oh, I'm sick of doing the work. I'm gonna be a dud this time, and it's like,
No.
but it's like the duds just like they can smell it on you. They can smell it on you.
Like, we know she's not a default dud. We know
She's
she'll
not
get
a
a dud.
default
She'll get
dud.
a dud.
They know that you're not a
But
dud.
that's the real problem. Like I always think about this, where I'm like, no, like when you just are like a competent person, the
Everyone
world
can
will
fucking
force.
smell it on you,
the world
dude.
will force.
Will force you.
the
will
duds
force you.
can tell. The duds smell
Dude, duds have
competence.
great non-dud radar.
Right, that's
Yeah.
the only thing they're good at. Is knowing when
Is knowing-
other people
knowing
are not
who's
duds.
got their back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well,
not
also,
them.
The thing about the duds is like they are not stressed out about being duds.
No.
They're not stressed. Whereas I know if I was 40 minutes late to a group project, I'd be spending that entire 40 minutes like, okay, all right, it's okay, it's okay. I know the lacrosse guy wasn't even on his mind. fine.
Well, it reminds me of my joke. Sorry, I know you guys hate when I say my jokes on the podcast.
No, just do it.
No, just
But
do it.
Just
like
rip the Band-Aid
just like
off.
criminals must have such healed nervous systems because like they don't feel like they're in trouble even when they are. Like when the FBI is literally looking for them, they're like, doo doo doo. Meanwhile, I'm like, I always feel like I'm in trouble. I'm like, no, the FBI is not looking for me. Like I didn't do anything wrong. Why do I feel like I'm in trouble? Meanwhile, people who are like actually doing fucked up shit, they never have that feeling.
Yeah,
Well,
they don't
again,
care.
That's so unfair.
It's me watching Breaking Bad going like, you see, this is the part where I would turn myself into the
Yeah.
authorities.
Robert
And
can't
it's like the
watch-
first
yeah.
minute of the first episode.
Yeah, Walter hasn't done anything
He hasn't
wrong.
done
yet.
anything.
Robert's
and
like,
Chubbs
turn
is
yourself in.
he can see that he's starting to think about doing a crime. He's like, he should just turn himself in now.
He's offered a choice. It's like, well, do you want to do a crime or do you want to take this legal option that maybe isn't as lucrative? And I'm like, well, you should definitely take the legal option. Never takes the legal option.
And that's why you are not.
And that's why
Walter
there's no
White.
breaking
Walter White.
Chubbs, bro.
Breaking Chubbs.
Breaking Chubbs. I am the one who turns myself into the authorities. Well, I am the one who knocks reference. Dude, I didn't know.
I know.
But I'm sure we've talked about that because I'm an idiot.
Well, it's just too dark for our energy.
Well, I was again
It's too heavy.
The podcast I was on yesterday, the guy was asking me about TV, and like we spent a little bit of time like making fun of TV shows we didn't like, and then he goes, "What TV shows are you watching?" And I had to be like, Smallville. I'm watching Smallville right now.
And he laughed you out of the podcast studio.
And he laughed me out of it, and he punched me in the face.
I think being an adult is just admitting to yourself that all the things that the popular kids at your school liked in high school, like they were right. Every piece of popular kid media is correct.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean,
They had the best
Well, it's
taste.
popular
actually.
for a reason.
Yeah.
in high school, I thought football was dumb. I thought people who liked football were dumb. I was on the football team. I never went. I sucked. I thought it was dumb and stupid. And then years later, I started watching football, and I was like, this is pretty good. Oh, I was the problem.
You were the problem.
Who knew?
Well, again, like I was, obviously I was cheerleader, and there was too many, issues that I had that got in the way of me
She was
cheerleading.
obese. They ghosted her.
Their dads
You
thought she
know
was
the
smarter than
tale.
them. She got a high IQ.
Her IQ was way too high.
IQ was too high. People were jealous because they knew she would go on to have 30 Days of Dana.
But now
yeah.
I'm like, should I, at age 30, audition to be an NFL or NBA cheerleader?
You wouldn't be able to. You don't
Well,
have the ability.
No, but I train.
She would need like 3 classes.
What do you mean I
You
train?
should be good to go.
There's nothing to train. You wouldn't be able to do it. There's nothing.
You don't think I could get? You don't think I could train and become a Laker girl?
I
Even if
don't
like
think.
private
Wait,
lessons?
what
I
if they-
don't think you
are
could train
they-
to be a Laker girl.
Are they doing like?
I would want to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
You would
I
not
don't really.
be.
How
one.
much do they do?
We're gonna clip
In
this.
terms
I'm
of,
gonna
like-
save that, and when I become a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, everyone's like, "That was the man who said she couldn't do it."
Like,
Like
do
with
they
Justin and
stunt or
Haley.
tumble or no? Do they
Yeah.
just dancing?
Routines. It's like they're all like professional dancers.
Yeah,
Okay, then I would say, I don't know.
I would just need some training.
What skill set? What do you mean? What answer to the question? What do they do? Would make you go, "Oh, Dana would be perfect for that." Oh, they sit on. They
I
sit
don't know,
on.
making 30 days of data t-shirts. If that's what they do, then
What do the Dallas Cowboys
you're a
cheerleaders do?
shoo-in.
Oh, mostly they lay in bed and complain about 20 years ago.
then she's a shoe in.
Oh,
then
you should
she's
go
a
do
shoe
that.
in, dude.
Like there's a.
I'll show you.
At the end of the
I would
first
love for you to
quarter,
show
at the end of the
us.
first quarter, they bring out a bunch of girls on their phones to ignore the people around them, and then that's the whole act.
Well, have you seen like Korean cheerleaders?
No,
It's always like I don't know if it's like a makeup promo thing or what, but like it'll always be like the little cheer song starts, the camera pans to them, and they're like powdering their face, and then they like quickly realize that the camera's on them and the song is starting, and then they like do their dance,
That's
and then
cute.
it's
I
like a
love
5-second dance, and then they like sit back down.
yeah. So if it was like that, you think I could do it?
I don't know.
You don't think she can do it? You don't think so?
Nobody believes in me, but that's okay because I believe in myself.
Well, no, I believe in you in so many ways. I don't believe in you becoming a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Also, never been a goal of yours till 10 seconds ago. Well, that's why I want to be clear because I did say I can't wait for 30 Days of Dana to be over. Not creatively, not because I don't think it's fun. It's because every day is a new fire hazard, and I'm afraid she's gonna burn the
You're
house
fearing
down.
for your life.
It is pure. I think the shirts are fun. I
You're
think
so
it's fun.
Justin saying Haley will never be
That's
on the
what I was
cover of
saying,
Vogue.
yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Justin Haley, please unplug your iron when it's on
I
the
do
carpet.
think it's more likely that you'll be on the cover of Vogue than you'll be a
I
Dallas
actually had
I
a
would agree with
premonition of
that.
me being on the cover of Vogue today. And I think now that Anna Wintour is retiring, I actually have a shot.
Oh, is
because because I don't think Anna Wintour ever would have effed with my vibe. But
Yeah.
I think if there's a new EIC who wants a more modern aesthetic, I think I could definitely be in consideration.
I think you'd be on the cover of Vogue.
Yeah, but I do think I'm like, now I'm saying this, I'm probably not gonna go for being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader because you can have.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Oh, you're not gonna go for it?
Hello, CEO of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm
Bad
sorry.
news.
She's out.
But wouldn't it be funny if you do make it and then you make a Justin Bieber post that's like, remember when I said you'd never be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader? I know it's so mean, right?
So mean, right? But I guess you proved
But
me
I
wrong.
was sorry. I was sadly wrong. What does he say?
Yeah, he said something like that.
I was unfortunately,
Unfortunately
very
very
wrong.
wrong.
Unfortunately, you have overcome the obstacles I've laid before you. Well played.
And now ultimately, she probably supports their whole family.
I
Team.
saw a video of the two of
Do you
them.
think they robbed their kid?
No,
I don't.
we
It's a
can't
baby.
say this.
Isn't it a baby?
We can't say
Rotting
that.
the baby.
I also think it's important.
The
like,
baby's first words are racist.
yeah. Like, fuck, get the rod. No one's rotted anything.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Okay, well, we need to say that.
I winked to the camera.
You're always like people. Oh God.
Speak for yourself.
I'm
If you're
obviously
writing
kidding.
a comment saying it's wrong to rod your kids, you don't need to write the comment.
No
one's rodding
All
their
I'm
kid.
saying is I wasn't hit as a kid, and that didn't
and
go
she turned
well.
out horribly.
This is how it
You're
turned out.
horribly.
She's doing 30 days of Dana.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Whatever.
right.
I just want 30 days of Dana to be
I
done
just
so people
don't
can
think
pay
that
attention to 30
hitting
days
you as a
of
kid
chips.
would have changed anything.
Well, no, it wouldn't. You're also that
Thank you.
smoothie
The
guy. That
supervisor
smoothie
said-
guy could have hit you, and I think your reaction would be the same. You come back home and you're like, I totally should have
No,
told that
I'm
guy
always
off.
like a shoulda. I'm always like, oh, I should have fucking squared up with his ass,
Dude, I always come home and I'm like, should have squared off.
I'm always like, should have squared up.
Yeah.
And
Never
I
squared
never
up in my
squared
life.
Never squared up.
Never
ever.
squared up.
Never squared up
Never
in my
squared
life.
up.
But I'm always like, should have squared
I
up.
always am like, should have squared up. Never
The
squared
smoothie
up.
guy's like, hey, you're like, can I get the smoothie? He's like, hey, I actually have a cup of my spit. And you're just like,
Yeah.
And then you're like,
And then I'm like, should have squared
You
up.
wake up in the middle of the night like, I shouldn't have accepted that cup of
I
spit.
should have squared up.
I should have squared. I should have given him the rod.
Okay. I'm hungry. Let's say goodnight.
Okay. Good night, young old. Always square up and give the kids the rod.
We do not accept legal responsibility. If you do any of those things, don't do it.
Just
Don't.
kidding, I'm
No,
kidding.
just
Good
kidding.
night.
Speak for yourself.